doing that regression, like my subconscious could have shown me a different life. It could have showed me, I'm sure there are tons and tons of them that I could have been shown, but what you end up being shown by your subconscious is what you need, whatever you need to see. And like the message that I got from that, you know, of just appreciating and enjoying and really taking in those super simple things that a lot of us take for granted every day, and to just like revel in it, was like, I know that I needed that. And every time I get a little synchronicity about that, like farmer life and a little reminder of it, I remember that. And so I can see like how that's been serving me. And you don't have to do a past life regression to be able to experience that. You know, you can just kind of like look out your window and take a deep breath in and like soak it all in for a minute, and just like just for a moment, like just be appreciative of the fact that we're all even here is like a literal miracle. And you know, we have so much more now than we ever did, but it doesn't have to be complicated.
Your past life regression was through quantum healing hypnosis technique. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. There are past life regressions. Like the only one I've ever done was like a 40-minute YouTube video that I just laid on my bedroom floor and had a mind-blowing experience. So I'll see if I can find that to put it in the description. As far as if someone wants to try it at home, I would say like, know what you're getting yourself into, because I was skeptical even like right up to the moment where they were like, and go or whatever, and like sent you into your past life. And then I was transported and I was like, holy shit, what's going on? Never been to a hypnotist though. I would love to try it. What has been your experience of that process?
It was, I mean, I decided you definitely don't need to see like a hypnotist or hypnotherapist to do like a past life regression or even QHHT. You could probably go through those steps on your own. But if you feel like I felt like I was worried about my conscious mind getting in the way, and I don't know, maybe this is like my Gemini South Node kind of energy of like doubting myself, having a really hard time just like believing what's coming through. And so a hypnotist at the very least will ask you the right questions to kind of help you through the steps, but you do like, it is on you to like believe what you're seeing and to be engaged enough in the process. But I went and did QHHT in 3 sessions, which normally it's like one big long 3+ hour deal. And there's 3 parts to it, which is starting with a body scan. And you just kind of like go through the different parts of your body and see energetically like what you can sense, and then kind of like dive deeper into those things, which I ended up seeing some really interesting stuff by doing that. A lot of things that like I don't know, I guess I want to do that.
Like what?
It was like sometimes something it's funny when you're working with a hypnotherapist, because generally you say out loud like what you're seeing or feeling, and sometimes it's really hard to put into words, or it like doesn't make any sense, but it's like, well, I guess I'll say it anyway. Because we were going down like my back. I was like kind of scanning down my back, and I've always had like a naturally arched back. Like I just kind of stand arched, and my ballet teacher, I remember being frustrated with me like for not being able to flatten my back. And you try to like push it down if we like laid flat on the floor, and I was like, I'm telling you, it does not go straight. But yeah, so my back is arched, and I was getting to that point in the scan, and then this image pops into my head of basically like a knight in shining armor on a horse, like riding by, galloping by with this big metal like rod thingy. Maybe it was wood, I don't know. But then he like swung it and basically just snapped me in half. So I saw that happen, and I was like a little peasant in a village, and I assumed that like my village was being raided in some sort of like medieval time. And then it like literally came from behind, and this guy like smacked me and like broke me in half, and I was dead. So so I was just laying there seeing this, and I was like, my back is arched. And she's like, okay, that's good. And I was like, no, there's a reason. Like there's a reason for it and I'm seeing it. So basically I just ask my body to show me, you know, like what's all going on in there, because emotions and fear and all that kind of stuff, like it lives in our body. And when you tap into like the sensations of every different part of your body, you'll be shown a reason why, if that's something you need to see. I haven't come to any conclusions of like why I needed to see that, besides the fact that I know that fear lives in my body. And then in this region here, like I've had kidney problems before in my life, which is interesting that like that's all kind of wrapped up in that region. And it's also, that's like your solar plexus area, which I've been drawn to for as long as I've been into spirituality, like the solar plexus chakra. I know that I have healing that I need to do there. And so I can see where there could be damage from that experience and the fear that came from like dying so unexpectedly, along with, I assume, a lot of other people were dying too, if like my village was being raided.
That's pretty traumatic.
Yeah. And then another thing that I saw, which I've yet to look into because it turns out it's really hard to get referred to see this kind of doctor, but and I just don't really want to. I'm hoping it'll just fix itself. But I'm curious to find out if this is like what I saw was real, or real in the 3D, I guess, where we got to like, I was still kind of sensing that general area of like mid back, and was drawn to like, I could see in my head, like there's something above my left kidney, like there's something above it. And then the hypnotherapist asked me like, oh, well, that's like that. Those are your adrenals. That's what's on top of your kidneys. And I was like, okay, yeah, like that's it. There's something like an organ on top of it. And then I saw this outline of, I can't really like draw it, but it looked like a node, basically, like a little nodule was what I saw in my head. And I was like, okay, there's something on it, like a node or something like that. Which I have, of course, since done research. It is a thing to have like an adrenal node. So I personally wonder, like a lot of the symptoms I've struggled with for a lot of long time, many years, line up with that. And I have like wondered if I have issues with my adrenals for a long time. And there you go, you know, like that was something that I saw. And it turns out it's really hard to get a referral to an endocrinologist, but that's probably something I'll do at some point just to see, which again wraps into the solar plexus chakra and feelings of worthiness and of like not being good enough, things like that, those kinds of emotions that like if that endures for a long time, it can manifest in like physical illness, which is something that I feel like I've struggled with. And that was like a manifestation of what I got from this first part of QHHT, the body scan part, where I was just sensing into that. And then this vision pops up into my head. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll be able to confirm. I'll keep you posted on that to confirm if that's like if that's actually in my body and that I like sensed that with my mind's eye. That'd be pretty interesting to find that out. But
is it something that they can like treat? Like, can they do something for it?
I think so. I mean, it sounds like a lot of the time it's not serious. They can remove it, I think. Hopefully it doesn't grow. I honestly don't really know. It doesn't sound like it's that serious unless it becomes like cancerous.
Yeah.
But my body didn't also the fact that I even got that much like helps me to trust that if it were something really serious, like I probably would have had a sense of urgency to it.
Yeah.
I definitely, your bodies are really wise. Like it was amazing to me to go through that process of just kind of tuning into my body like piece by piece and just listening to like what it had to say, pretty much like what it was telling me.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So that's the whole point of the first one, is the body scan. The first piece.
That's the first piece. Yeah. Go through the body.
Didn't you say that you had like a brown elbow or like a purple toe or something? Like, didn't you have like a color tied to something?
I
Am
think
I thinking of someone else?
it, no, I think that did happen to me. There was something weird about like one of my elbows was like,
I think it was like brown or something.
it was
You're
something,
like,
it was
I don't
like,
know what that means, but it
exactly.
was
It's like, I have no idea what
orange.
it means. But that's another part of it is that like sometimes you'll say something and you just got to go with it. Like we're working with a hypnotherapist, they'll have you say it out loud. And even if
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense, you just say it. and and then it's like maybe like that by saying it, it'll stick in your memory and it probably will make sense at some point.
At some point.
At some point, like it'll pop into your head, like, oh, yeah, that's right. I saw that in my body scan, or I sensed that. I felt that. There was something with one of my feet too, with something about like not like being afraid to move forward. Like the feeling was there was a fear of moving forward. And then it's like a foot that I get pain in sometimes. Like if you get random pains, they're really not random. I will definitely say like they're really not. And even elbows are associated with like your solar plexus chakra. So that's usually where I start is like if you're having a random pain, like what area of your body is it in? What chakra does it correspond with? And then see if you can find any emotional roots. And by doing a body scan, it helps you take it a little further of like the vision that I saw of like getting hit in the back like that, of taking it even further if that's where those emotional roots come from. And it's further back than I could have known on my own. I had to really like sense into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. That was my first
feel like
to do it. It was really powerful.
I'll bet. And when she breaks it into 3, how long do you go in between sessions?
I think I did like a week in between. So I went like every Friday for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That kind
And
of.
does she sit with you like after to like do like the mental integration piece to like have conversations around what
A
you
little
saw
bit.
and what happened?
Yeah, if there's anything you want to talk through, but then I guess another piece of it too is like try not to overthink it. Don't let your mind come in afterwards and try and pick apart and analyze everything. I think part of it is to like let it sink in, like let it just like kind of just turn your mind off and don't try and explain everything away and let it just sink in. And if something rises to your consciousness, then like that's true. You can know. But if you let your mind get too carried away with it, then it's going to be hard to know what was real and what wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
I
actually,
confidently say that. I always make that mistake of like,
you
what
do.
does it mean? And needing to understand it like right now and going back to the whole like Taurus and simplicity and everything else, like just letting it be is like a superpower that sounds so simple and easy. And yeah, it's like a whole process to just let it unfold itself. Like you don't have to have a death grip around it, making it happen.
Yeah.
And like reminding myself of that on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So thank you. That's perfect.
That's good because it really is hard. Like it's difficult to do. And for me, I have to consciously like tap more into my Pisces energy. I have a lot of Pisces energy that kind of lets me just surrender. And if I let go of like the death grip of my Gemini energy, then like even just ease up a little bit. It helps a lot to not overanalyze things. And I had to really make that conscious choice like going into this process. But even the first, I was worried like the first session that I was like, I have no idea how this is gonna go. I don't know if I'm gonna like be able to do this. And like it was really powerful and I got some really clear messages. So definitely don't underestimate yourself because we're all capable of doing this.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say is I feel like it's a willingness to look. Like it's a willingness to want to be shown. Like it's easy to say the words, but like, you know, if you're saying like, okay, show me what it is. And it's like, yeah, but you have your eyes closed shut. You don't really want to see. And if you don't want to see, the universe loves us and they don't just overwhelm us with a bunch of shit that we're not ready for, and to torture us and all that. That's not how it works. So like, if you don't want to see, you won't see.
No.
But if you do, it like that, like to your point, where you don't need a professional hypnotist necessarily to be open and willing and ready to be shown and to be able to see what it is. Okay, so I'm so curious. Like, that was just step one.
Yeah.
So what was step two?
Part one.
What's
Part
the
two
second?
is
Yeah.
past life regression.